Oh, it's great to see Bobby. He swung by the hotel in Denver. We got to see him there. It was nice to see him, and I had no idea he was coming back, so it's nice to see him.
What a surprise. He was supposed to be out for a season.
Yeah, I have to check with Bobby on that. I don't know the exact details of what happened, and I don't know if surgeries. He had things he needed to physically take care of, and that's a personal matter for him, but I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you.
His experience, Chris, and your guys' familiarity with each other, what does that do for your offense?
Oh, it always helps. I mean, any voice, in the building. I was here in 2019 as a consultant and really just took had a back office that wasn't even on the field and was able to just contribute here and there. It's another set of eyes that has familiarity with the system, familiarity with Kyle, the players to a degree, and it's always, helpful for that reason.
You were saying a couple of weeks ago that he'd love to have the same five guys all front, but that's probably not going to happen or doesn't happen that often. And yeah, here we are without Trent. How do you feel about Colton playing for him and the game going forward or the pass blocking going forward?
Yeah, thanks for it's almost impossible to say you can replace Trent Williams. Trent's a very once in a, I don't want to say lifetime, but I've been fortunate enough to coach a couple guys that are of his nature. But it's hard to replace a guy like Trent. We know that. I tell you what, I'm glad you asked that question. Is Colton? I tell you, there's two things about Colton that I want to say that really impressed me. The first one is that after last training camp a year ago, we released him and then signed him back to our practice squad. And I think that really put a sense of urgency in Colton that I'd never seen in him before. Urgency to really improve, take every day seriously, really take the reps. At college, it's sometimes hard for the college kids to grow up and to really feel the urgency of, oh my gosh, my lifetime dream's getting ready to end. His urgency and the way he played throughout the year prepared him for when we needed him at the end of last season, where he played really well. What really showed me the kind of guy he has in character, that was step one. Step two was when he played in that last game of the season, the 17th game against the Rams, he got beat for a sack with 2 minutes left in the game. Von Miller sacked him, and it should have ended. If they would have gotten a first down in the 4-minute drive, it would have ended the season for us. And it didn't. We punted the ball, our defense stopped, we got the ball back, and then we proceeded to have, I think it was like 14 more plays in regulation to tie it up, and then in overtime. And Colton, that was the last time anybody got near the quarterback on him. So it's not easy in a game of that magnitude to step in, make your block, get beat at the most critical time of the game. We're getting ready to go on a 2-minute drive, and we get a sack, and we have to punt with 2:02 left, or whatever the time on the clock was. So those two things with Colton, you feel really good about. And he continues to be very professional, hardworking, does all the right things. He's the right kind of guy and has really worked hard for us and did a great job this camp. It's just hard to replace Trent, and that's going to be his charge, and he'll have to come in and do the best he can.
Coach, how much can you go back and look at that tape from Week 18 last season and just pick some stuff up and apply it?
Well, it's all over. I mean, yes, you can apply everything. You just don't know what pieces they'll use, against us, what's going to change. Excuse me, what are going to be the little tweaks or little differences. And so, yeah, we use it all. You can go back as long as they've been running this style of defense. When Brandon Staley was there and then Raheem took it over. I mean, those players on defense that they have are outstanding. The job that Raheem and Sean have done with that defense and the rest of the defensive coaches is really outstanding. And there's always just a little wrinkle, something, what they do. But this defense is becoming really a staple across the league. A lot of teams are employing it. And so you just don't know what you're going to get on a given Sunday or Monday in this case. We'll see.
A few games, but how does Bobby Wagner kind of change the equation for them at second
I
level?
think the few games is the best way to say it. It's hard to feel yet, especially the Arizona game. They're just such a different style of offense, and how they play Arizona is different. So you're looking at the first two games, and while you see Bobby's still an outstanding player and does a great job, to feel that fit in that system is really hard to make a solid evaluation. But that's not saying he's not impacting the game. He is. It's hard to really make a true evaluation after 2 games, 3 games.
As Debo's modest rushing numbers from Sunday, Kyle was saying that he thought that there were some opportunities in there. It's a matter of execution here and there. Did you see the same thing? And what was the difference with him not really getting going in that game?
Yeah, we just had. It's like every time you don't have success, you can say, okay, whatever you were on third down, whatever you were rushing, whatever you were in protection, you can always pick those 3 or 4 plays where you're like, gosh, if Trent just would have done this, if the running back, if the blocker if the receiver just would have got that push crack, that's going to be the play that went for 25 against Chicago. It goes for 2. we don't quite execute a block in this one instance, and we do something on the third down when we don't quite get a guy. And it was going to be another explosive run. It was a similar play to what we ran against Chicago before half, where Debo broke out. We ran one in a similar situation, backed up, and we were off by just a step on blocking the inside linebacker, or he's going to beat to the unblocked corner. And we all know what happens when Debo can get in the secondary with not many players to tackle him. So, but again, those are all just excuses. We didn't get it done, and the numbers are down because we didn't execute properly.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing that you're playing a team that plays essentially the same defense 2 weeks in a row? I mean, are you worried that one team is kind of learning off of the other, or are you able to sort of learn from your mistakes?
Well, it's a two-edged sword, but it is for us because we do have for me personally, we do have a younger group, so their experience getting to see it again and then see it again. For Jake, for those young guys, I remember last week we screwed that up. Let's get this one right. And that, so there is a benefit to that. But you're right. The other side of that sword is that, they've seen how we attack them, and there's only so many ways to attack this style of defense. So how can we dress this up again? They're going to be preparing for this. So what other wrinkles can we have, and what did we not do against this team that maybe we can use this week? And those types of, that's always the juggling act that you have, especially when you play a team in division. Like last year, we played them 3 times. It's hard, but for both sides, to decide how you want to attack it.
Coach, Feb has Banks as the 6th best guard in the league after 3 games. I know it's a short sample size, but what has he done really good throughout 3 weeks, and what can he improve?
Aaron, I think he's been in. We always liked Aaron in the running game. So his number one area of improvement is pass protection. I don't know how they grade him and what they do. I mean, I'm not questioning how they grade him at all. I don't. They have a different set of grading system. But what I see in here, I look at his fundamentals. I look at how his body. I look at how he's handling himself in protection. I can see things that maybe while it's productive, it may not be good in 4 weeks when he starts developing a library of plays that people can study. You're like, dude, if you don't fix this stuff now, it's going to be a problem. And there are those things. Everybody has them. You're constantly picking at the guy. Trent, it's like, Trent, if you don't fix this, this is going to become a problem. Is it going to become a problem against most guys? No, but when you get against that elite guy on the road with a silent count, that's going to be a problem. Same thing here with Aaron. Same thing with every guy. They all have their little things, or I could probably punch list 3 things for every guy that says, work on these 3 things in practice every single day, and you'll be a lot happier with our production going forward.
How difficult is it to run zone blocking schemes against defenses that put 5 on the line and create all those one-on-one matchups?
Yeah, you can still do it. You just have to be – that's one of the benefits, I think, of there's a lot of different things you can do without talking in too much detail. You have to work harder to create where are we going to get double teams and combination blocks, and how are we going to do it. And everybody's beginning to see there are different ways to do it. It's even when they put 6 guys on the line of scrimmage, there's still a way to create a combination block somewhere or cut the defense in a way that even though it's 6 one-on-one blocks, there's still a place where we can create some space. But it can make it harder. But then penetrating 4-down fronts can make it hard. 8-man boxes can make it hard. I mean, there's always a challenge to every single defense. They have a way they want to stop the zone running game. There's a thought that those 5 or 6 on the line of scrimmage make it. Yeah, they're just trying to keep you from having, too many combination blocks. But still, if you can find one, you can run off that one, and then you have a chance.
Is Tevin Coleman at a place where he's ready to play?
I think Tev's ready to roll, man. I can't say whether he's going to be up or down. I don't know any of that. I just know that he's been practicing and working his tail off, like I say every week with those backs. They all run hard, work hard. And it is nice to see Tev out there. I mean, Tev has that explosiveness to him that I kind of paused on one word there, but he has that explosiveness to him that he can really hit it and go and really enjoy the way he can do that. So it's good to have him back that way.
He still has that at his – for a running back in the NFL advanced age.
You still see it, man. He hit a play up the sideline the other day, and you just saw the acceleration. It was nice to watch him accelerate up the sideline. He still got it.
Last week we asked about Jordan Mason. You said you still need to see if the game's too big for him, the bright lights. 1 carry.
The lights are still bright, man. Yeah, they're still bright. But he's, like I said, he continues to work, and it's all probably, hey, you're out there, you get on the field, you warm up, you do the whole process, and still it's going to have to be the banging away, and all of a sudden Aaron Donald jumps on your back and throws you to the ground and talks smack or whatever happens, and you got to live through that, or somebody pulls the ball out the pile and you're trying to hang on he's got to go through all that, but there's nothing that says he's not ready, and he's been working hard and deserves the opportunities he's getting. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
No Kim Armstead again today in practice, correct?
Yeah, those guys will be out there for us. They'll be fine. Yeah.
You're saying that they'll play Monday?
Oh, I'm not talking about they're playing those guys, just saying those guys will be fun for us.
How has Samson Ebicom come along? You had the first sack of the season, 3 snaps into the season, and then none since, but you've gotten really good pressure out of that whole defensive front. So what are you seeing out of your edge rusher?
I think the thing about our group is it's about them rushing together, as a group. Bosa gets a lot of attention as the edge rusher, which is rightfully so because he's such a dynamic player. So it's just about all those guys, just whoever is opposite him or whoever is inside. It's all about those guys rushing together as one. So the more they can be coordinated, make sure they're communicating with their stunts and games the proper way and rushing together, like that's what makes our group go, and that's what makes our group effective is all those guys working together.
Kevin doesn't get talked about a lot, but it seems like he's been making an impact the last few games. What are you seeing from Kevin?
I think Kevin is picked up right where he left off last season, right? He's always done a really good job for his inside, whether it's against a run and also being able to affect the passer. Kevin has been very consistent for us, and he's showing up. These first 3 games, he's showing up. He's done a really good job our last game versus Denver. Right, he made plays for us. So Kevin has been very consistent. He's an active guy inside, really an athletic guy for his size who can really make plays, be disruptive in the backfield. So very pleased with where Kevin is for us.
Lenore's primarily been an outside corner in college, and he said he always saw himself that way, and then except for recently, and now he says he loves it. So it feels like he's found a new home, basically. What enabled him to kind of make that transition?
Yeah, I think it's just with all young players, it's just it takes time. With different guys, it takes time. I think you just seen mindset change over the past couple weeks, and he's been doing a really good job in practices, and he earned that right.
Odell Beckham for the Rams is here. Where are they going? In his absence, who are they turning to?
Yeah, I think with the Allen Robinson is still he's a really good player for them. But with them adding him, he's been a good add for them. And also, it's just it's the Cooper Kupp show. Like no matter how you try to slice it up, where the guys are doubling, whatever it is, like the guy finds a way. I think the connection and chemistry with him and Stafford is one of the best I've seen in the league in a long time. Those guys are always in sync and they're always on the same page, which makes it tough as a defense to defend those guys because they're so good, they're so precise at what they do, and they make it a really tough challenge.
They've added that wrinkle with Skoranek as like a fullback, and you use that a little bit. What kind of challenges is something as unique as that present for you?
I don't see it as much of a challenge for teams that for us, like we've seen 2-back runs, going against our offense. So, and the guys in the backfield, we've seen that before. And they put it on offense. So it's not anything surprising for us defensively because we've seen 2-back runs. We've seen passes out of 2-back before. So something, you have to be aware of, which we've seen on tape. And, they do a really good job. He's not only just a receiver, he gets back there and he does a really good job of blocking, whether it's linebackers, nickels. Like he's a tough player who does a really good job for them in the run game. So we definitely respect what he's done and what he's put on tape. We're definitely not taking him lightly. The things he can do when you have a player who can play outside and move into fullback, it definitely helps you as a play caller offensively with the multiple things you can do.
Daniel Mosley and Juwan Jennings have a past playing together back to college. When you see them go up against each other at practice, is there ever any extra juice or spice there?
Yeah, both of those guys are very, competitive, fiery guys, and it's really cool to see where both of them started in the NFL. Like both of them started, I think, practice squad, and just to see, like that's what the league is about. It doesn't matter like where you get in, but it's about the attitude and the mentality that you bring. That it doesn't matter that I'm practice squad, undrafted, 7th round. It's about that daily grind of continuing to get better. And that's what you see from E-Man and Juwan. Those are 2 guys who have become really good players for us, guys we count on Sundays, and they come through in the clutch. So it's a cool story for both of those guys being teammates in college and to be teammates here in the NFL, and both guys still excelling at their craft and still not only thinking that they've made it and they've arrived, but I see 2 guys there who continue to push each other and continue to get better at practice.
You faced the Rams so many times throughout the years. Do they essentially do the same things on offense, the same principles, or have they changed and evolved throughout the years?
I mean, offenses are always changing. They always have their wrinkles, but I think every offense has their staple, right? Of staple in the run game, staple in the pass game, and then you have wrinkles off of that. So I think Sean and those guys have done a really good job of, being really, really good at the things they do, but also throwing the wrinkles in to keep you off guard and keep you off balance as a defense. So those guys do a great job. Much respect to those guys and the way they operate.
You have the two, according to PFF, you have 2 top 10 safeties. How does that change when Jimmy comes back? How do you see that room evolving with Jimmy back?
Whenever Jimmy gets back, we'll be happy to have Jimmy. And whenever you can say we're getting a player like Jimmy Ward back, that's a great problem to have. So, we'll figure that out once we cross that bridge. But I can't say enough about Gibson and Talanoa and what they've done back there and the instant chemistry that they built in such a short time. Like, you don't see that happen much. But I think with Gibson being a veteran and Huff just soaking in everything that, all the knowledge that Gip has to offer him, it's been cool to see.
What do you think that happened?
I think it's just, in this league, I always talk about it's just, or Gibson, it's just, that's what the veterans do in the league, right? It's always, the league has always been about giving back. So the younger players now, we're standing on the shoulders of the guys who came before us, whether it was guys fighting for free agency to get guys to the point where they're getting the contracts they're getting now. Like, older players always paved the path for the younger guys. And so it's a respect factor as what are you leaving the game? What are you leaving guys in the locker room as you're an older veteran? What are you giving back to the game? Because we know we've all received something from players who've come before us. So that's what the league is all about, right? That's what true locker room is about, when you have older guys who can, not worry about themselves, but it's all about giving back to the younger players.
Tonight there was a pretty scary scene with Miami and Tua.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your reaction was to it and whether what concerns you have about the concussion protocol that's been played.
Yeah, I mean, it was touching. It was tough to watch. Watching Tua go down. Just praying that he's okay. I hate to see any player, go through that. And we know he had it on Sunday, and for it to happen to him again on Thursday, it's just something you don't want to see happen to anybody. And we just have to trust that the concussion protocols that we have in place, we have to trust that those things are set up to. They're at the best interest of our players and the best interest of our game, because our game is nothing without the players and them being healthy. That's the most important thing. Health and safety is the first and foremost. That's the most important thing about the game, and that's what allows the game to grow, is our guys being healthy and being able to push through. So we're hoping that Tua is okay and everything is fine, and just trusting that those protocols are good for us.
Some Talanoa's past coaches have talked about how many questions he used to ask, almost to the point of stop. Does he still have that, or did he have that as a rookie?
He asked questions, and I'm like, bring him on. So I don't know what's wrong with those other coaches, but but I'm always like, bring it on. When the player is asking questions, I think as a coach, you want that. You want guys who are, they want to know the why. Why are we doing this? Or, Coach, how exactly do you want me? Where do you want me to be on this? I love that in Huff. I love that in all the players. If you're asking those questions, that lets me know as a coach that you're into it and you want to know the why. You want to know why, not just, I'm just doing something just because the coach told me to do it. And that's what separates Huff, and that's why he's sticking out amongst everybody, is because he asked those questions. He's processing everything throughout the week. So when you see him on Sunday, he can cut it loose. And that's what everybody's seen, and that's why, he's been exciting to watch these first 3 weeks, just because of those questions.